say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
When I first started this, Dick will remember this, I would always ask for the Pearl Harbor survivors to stand up, and well, it's no more. And then, of course, World War II vets. Any World War II vets here? Well, not here anyway. And then, of course, we do have some Korean vets. Please stand, put your hands up, please. Vietnam vets, be recognized. Gulf Storm, Desert Storm, the Mideastern Wars, stand up. It's funny how time passes. My mother, who was born in 1908, used to tell me stories when she and her classmates would go to the veterans' home and honor the Civil War veterans. And the reason that stood out in my mind is she said it was an interesting thing about them. They were all thin and they all had long white beards. For whatever the reasons were. You know, it's funny how it stays in a child's mind, something like that. And by the way, I think the last Civil War veteran died in the late 1950s, if you can believe that. The drummer boy. But so when you stop and think, it wasn't that long ago. My grandmother was born in 1868, 3 years after the Civil War ended. And time seems to meld together as it goes by. But again, this is a day of remembrance.
On behalf of Colonel Lisa J. Howe, the Adjutant General, and the more than 8,400 soldiers and airmen of the New Jersey National Guard, welcome to today's ceremony to honor our brave National Guard citizen soldiers and airmen, and to remember the ultimate sacrifices they have made in the name of duty, honor, country. It is my honor to be with you all here today. I can't think of a tradition more worthy of preservation than this day that has been set aside to honor the men and women who sacrificed their lives in battles against tyranny and injustice in service to a nation unlike any other. President John F. Kennedy once said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." Today we honor our fallen heroes, those brave men and women who possess the pride, courage, and and dedication to selflessly serve our nation when called upon. National Guard men and women have served proudly and distinctly in every major conflict of our nation has faced, and they ask for little, yet they inspire so much. Through their selfless service, they portray the values and ideals on which this country was founded. As Kennedy said, the highest appreciation we can provide is to live by the ideals of those who have gone before us. This past year has provided the National Guard a variety of unseen challenges, including civil unrest across the nation, massive wildfires, hurricanes, and COVID-19. In every instance, our Guard members have honored their predecessors by stepping up and tackling every new challenge head-on with professionalism and dedication. We can take pride in having been part of such a tremendous effort. This year has been challenging for all Americans as the country continues to battle COVID-19. There are few that have not been affected by the virus, whether they have battled it personally or had a friend or family member who was impacted. I want to send a special thank you to the Guard members who were on the front lines from the very beginning, helping the nation to fight this battle. Despite the danger and risks, they stood up and delivered supplies, provided testing, assisted in vaccinating more than 10 million Americans. The sacrifices made by these Guard men and women in service to their country is particularly noteworthy. These are part-time soldiers and airmen whose lives are deeply entwined with their community, where they live and work and celebrate and mourn with their families, neighbors, and co-workers. When they don the uniform and deploy in support of their nation, it is not just the families that feel the loss. It is felt by the entire community in the form of a missing employee, coach, church leader, teacher, mentor, and friend. I want to thank those in the communities that have stepped in to assist families and friends who have felt this loss most acutely. Family is the rock on which we stand, and knowing they are well cared for back home enables our service members to perform their duties at home and abroad with reassurance. This year, we need to recognize members of the greatest generation. It is estimated while 16 million wore a uniform during World War II, sadly, now there are fewer than 300,000 of these heroic men and women still alive today. Since World War II, our nation has continued to engage in defending freedom throughout the world. 30 years ago, America engaged in a war in a volatile region. Iraq had invaded the sovereign nation of Kuwait. It was an act of aggression that could not stand. The United States led a coalition of 35 nations with bold and clear mission to liberate an occupied country. We are here today to honor individuals such as Specialist Bodwin, who was killed in action when her convoy struck a landmine on 28 February 1991. She was only 19 years old. We are also here today because 10 years later, Sergeant Jorge Oliveira, a New Jersey resident, he lost his life in Afghanistan. Today, we will honor their sacrifice and the sacrifice made by the 1 million heroes who died while defending this country since the American Revolution. Let me close with a passage from a speech given years ago by General George W. Casey Jr., referencing a British memorial in Burma, which read, "When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today." So today, as each of you go home, tell them of our National Guard soldiers and airmen who are giving their today around the world for a better future for all Americans. And for a moment, pause and remember those who have made possible your tomorrows. And from the memory of these fallen, honored members, let us recommit ourselves to never forget the sacrifices of these patriots and of their families, and let us resolve to renew our commitment to the values and ideals that have made this nation what it is today, the greatest nation of the world.